First, we'll start with roll call. Austin McGackey, Mayor.
Shirley Chipman, Commissioner.
Norma McNair, Commissioner.
Nicole Fehrenbaugh, City Clerk.
Amanda Kendall, City Treasurer.
Okay. Diana, are you signing up for public comment?
Yes, sir!
Okay. I will wait for you.
Hey, Diana. Hey.
I didn't realize I was that late.
How's mowing? You're not that late.
Oh, okay. That's it. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Next, we will have public comment. Who gets the list here?
Oh, sorry.
Come on, way lady.
I know.
There you go. First, we will start with Rose Kofer. Please approach podium.
Hi, Rose Kofer. Thank you for having this meeting. And I don't know how this all works, but I don't really have too many things for the board. This is more of what happened at my place. And I do want to apologize to Norma and Austin for somewhat getting you involved in this situation just by calling. I asked questions and I made my own decision. Nobody persuaded me to call the police. It was my own decision. I'm 60 years old, so I don't need to be persuaded. My mowers were missing, and I didn't know where they went. I didn't know how long they'd been gone. I just know I saw posted pictures of mowers being gone, and I was, by hearsay, I heard a name, and it was mentioned, and that's the only name that was mentioned, and that's why he was the one, and it's Alex, he was the one that that the people were upset, and I understand that. But I was also told they were not on my property, and then later on I was informed that they were. I don't know what's going to come about it, but I do want to apologize to you, Norma and Austin, for getting backlash from that. The reason why I'm talking is to the City of McCracken Beautification Committee. I believe they need to do things according to the law. I was told that I got a phone call and was asked if I wanted to get rid of the mowers. I did not get called. And so they went on my property and trespassed. I don't live here, but I do have property here. And there is a division in this town that just breaks my heart because it used to not be like this. And I think the beautification committee is good. I think it's awesome what they're doing, but do it legally. Do not go on people's properties that don't want you on it. And just a suggestion, get a paper, have people sign it. Don't just say, we got a phone call and got permission. Continue doing the great work you're doing. You know, I think it's great that, you know, things are getting cleaned up. It's looking nice. But I want to apologize to Alex because I know with him, he does what he's told to do. And I don't know what happened in that situation, but I love this little town. I love coming back to it. But the division is just upsetting. And we need to work together as a city, as a beautification, and bring up suggestions what need to be done. You know, they cleaned up that creek there. Oh, there I am. Anyway,
Well,
just,
Thanks, Rose. I think the divisions in town are kind of being healed.
well, that's good.
And I want to thank everybody for getting our heads together and making it better and making it more beautiful, but also removing those divisions and getting together as a community and sticking together. You know, what if a tornado or some other disaster happened here? Are we going to go through and pick the guys we're going to pull out of the rubble, or are we going to pull together and
Right.
do everything for everybody that we need to do, right?
Right.
Well, thank you.
Any comments, Rose? I agree. I said, thank you for your comments, Rose.
You're welcome.
I do agree. I'm with Joe. I think working together is the way to go.
And you did the right thing. Trespassing is between the trespasser and the property owner, and it's for the police to sort out. So you didn't do anything wrong. So, and I think it's all it's something that'll probably bring us all closer together in the end, in the long run. So, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Next, we'll have Arlene Gilbert for VDIC.
Good evening. Dee has wanted me to ask for permission, if it would be all right, if she were to paint fire hydrants around town, or not paint them, but to put scenes on them. And it would be to no cost to the city. She would finance it herself. And I have a couple of pictures here of things that she has done. And she's done things like this for 60 years. Now, which one do I address for the water? Okay, are there any regulations about painting on the fire hydrants?
Yes, there is a lot of regulations on it. Fire hydrants, and I did look that up because I did get wind of that, so I wanted to be sure I knew where we was at. It is not legal to go in and paint them.
Okay, now I have seen it in other communities.
Is
Is it just our regulation?
If they own the fire hydrant themselves, if they personally own the fire hydrant, they can paint them. But at that same token, the fire hydrants are painted a certain color for the pressure, the water pressure that is out of them. So if you happen to see a yellow one, that is pressure of 1,000 PSI on to 5,000. If you see red ones, they are 500 to 1,000 PSI. They are coded for that particular reason, is so that they know when a fire takes place, they know exactly how much pressure can come out of that hydrant. So the only thing we can do, I'm not going to tell you I don't think they don't need repainted, because they do, but they would just have to be repainted with the paint that is, and we'd have to get that paint from Common Core, Core and Maine, and they could only be red.
Okay, and
So,
they'd
well,
have
just
to.
quick, I was gonna say, bring up the same thing, because I was asked to talk about that.
Oh.
So is there an actual ordinance, actual regulation?
Well, the regulation is, it's a federal thing, it's a state.
But why are
and federal.
other cities able to do it?
Obviously, it could either be they personally own that fire hydrant, like they're attached to their own well, or the city has put
Okay,
something
but
in
just, can you
play.
just find that for sure? Because I
I
just thought
did.
it'd be an
I
awesome
researched a
idea.
bunch on it. I really did. And it's just legally, no, they can't. If they'll say if you go and paint your fire hydrant, and the city will come right behind you and repaint them back to the other way. I can't address what the big cities do. I don't know.
Now,
Another reason for it is when there's a fire,
Right.
the fire department needs to find that hydrant.
immediately.
Well, they need to actually,
Now,
If it's
do-
painted, if it's painted like a bush or trees or something, they might miss it in the dark.
now,
And that's true.
does
That-
our fire department realize about the pressure correlates with the color of the fire
Oh,
hydrant?
yes, our
Okay,
fire.
so are all of ours mostly would be red?
Yes, all of
Okay.
ours are red. And the other thing of it is, to clarify that too, fire hydrants are on city property. That part of the easement is the city's. And so therefore, they are owned by the city and only can be
Red or
ran by
yellow.
the city. You know, I mean, obviously. The other thing is they can't, we allow the rodeo to fill the tanks off of. The reason they do, they have to know exactly how much water's coming out. So they bring a tank in that's 500 gallons. They know they've taken 500 gallons off
Your
of
4
that.
minutes are up, Norma.
There's a lot to it though. I was really
Well-
reading for quite some time on that.
Okay, well, I just.
But yeah, I love them. I agree. They're
And she
cutest
does
to be.
excellent work, and maybe we
Yeah.
can find other things for her to paint.
Yes,
around town.
exactly.
I'm gonna grant you another 4 minutes.
Oh, no,
Finish
you
your
don't need
speaking.
to do
No,
that.
because I wanna talk to you too. Just as we did with the cemetery and the headstones, our counselor is gone from the 5th till the 15th.
From the 5th to the
The
15th.
15th, the 5th to the 20th. So we have 15 days there. I will go ahead and reach out with him in an email and see if there's any case law, see what we can kind of dig up to see exactly, so we're able to give you what we have. Like we did with the headstones, for the headstone repair, where we found that there was case law where if the headstones were repaired, they would be under liability, and that was our liability to take on. So if that's the same type of deal, then we'll at least know. That way, I'm saying we're going to research it further. Is what I would say.
Research the hydrants.
Yes,
further.
yes,
Oh, okay.
yes.
All right.
I-
That makes it clear.
I
Yes,
think it's-
sorry.
I think it's in National Fire Code.
It really is. It's under federal. I mean, there wasn't anything I could find that was, lenient on that at all. Because
Well,
it was
I
like
just-
Joe
They're
said,
not.
if they need to be in the middle of the night, it is, and I didn't
Yeah.
know this, but the fire hydrant is the property it's sitting on, it's the city's, but the owner, like, it was on my corner, it's up to me to be sure that if there's snow up around it, I'm supposed to clean the snow off and everything, so that if in case there is, they can drive right in and hook up, and there's nothing distracting it or
Well,
keeping.
it's just like our mailboxes.
And they-
We have to have it clear or they
Right.
don't deliver.
And they do need to see that color code.
Oh, I understand that explicitly.
But yeah, your idea of painting, utility
Scenery.
boxes or any of that kind of stuff, a lot of other cities are doing that, and it really does look great. So.
Yeah. We
Maybe
surely
maybe
find
she can
something
climb
for
the
her to
fire,
paint.
the water tower.
Maybe we put her up there on the water
87
tower.
years old, swinging from a rope.
Well, listen, she was quite an acrobat.
I know,
Yes,
I
she
know.
was. Yes, she was.
You could do it.
So, but anyway,
So
thank you.
yes, thank you.
Thank you, Arlene.
So I have, to elaborate on that, I have a question. What would it be where the pressure, and they've painted the other towns,
They still
do
have
they
to-
paint a certain, I'm wondering, do they paint like just the top, a certain color to show the pressure?
Yes, they do. If they
But the
do
rest of it can be
allow
something
it,
else?
if they do allow it, which they really don't like to do that at all, but the caps have to be the pressure. Like they would have to be red or
That's what I'm
yellow
wondering,
or
a different
white.
color to
Yeah.
show the pressure.
Yeah.
But where are these towns though?
I
Honey.
got
Do you
pictures
have a
too.
list
Did she
of
send me
towns in
pictures?
Kansas that might have them?
Yeah,
Talk
in
to.
Kansas.
I've just driven through.
I've seen
and
it before
them,
too.
but I can't
Anything
tell
to
you.
doctor up
Yeah.
this town.
Well, that's what I'm just wondering,
Yeah.
what, I mean, I'm not opposed, I just am asking what, actually other towns are, because maybe that's something we need to talk with them and see what research they did.
But
It'd be
it's
beneficial to
just
us.
like the
If all
flags that
our
we're getting ready
hydrants
to
are the
do.
same, if they're
I've
all
seen them all over
red,
the state, and now we get
then
them
how do
out
we
here.
not
Yeah, I'm just
Get 'em-
curious as to what towns.
mix up?
I wonder if I can just, I'll just Google it. Fire hydrants in Kansas that are painted, maybe there's something that comes up. So,
Probably. But put something on
And even they said, one of the things that I read too, it said, if an owner comes in, buys a property, they should take that into account. One, it lowers their insurance rate because of the fire hydrant there. But the city isn't going to move the fire hydrant just because they don't like it in that area because of the cost value. It's really extremely high to do that, so, on that.
Sorry, Anita.
So anyways, if you can research that a little bit more, find out what towns are, I can ask her what towns she took these pictures of. Because it is really cute. And you can see the tops are painted reds. So.
Yeah, they'll either be red, yellow, or, I think it's red, yellow, or white. I think it's the colors, but I know it's red and yellow, for sure.
If you've been to,
But the bottoms
haven't
are
been to
painted
Ellis
cute.
lately, they did the water tower there.
Okay, well, there's the
And
what?
that was awesome.
Oh, where is that?
Well, this is the what, no, this is what Jackie said earlier.
Next one. Ronnie has the one, the next will have Diana's site.
That was what I was gonna talk about. They asked me
Oh,
to
okay.
talk about it, so I didn't know that she was talking about it.
Oh,
So I was out mowing.
Yeah, so,
okay, okay, so if there's no,
Anita has quite a.
I don't know where they are.
But we don't know what town they're. There's one here that looks like Snoopy with a red stocking cap.
wow.
Yeah, they are, they're cute as can be, and I've seen
I think Lynchburg is a town
You wouldn't even
that
know it was a
has-
a
hydrant.
few of them.
That's scary.
And I
Well,
noticed
that's
that
true.
even where they have had some, it's not all of them are done, so there's
But then a
maybe
boa.
just a few here
or
and
just
there.
like the main street or something.
Yeah.
Okay, if there's no more public comment, then next we'll move on to the consent agenda. The consent agenda is just, let's approve the minutes. Has everybody had a chance to read the minutes?
Yeah.
Any additions, corrections to the minutes this time? If not, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same side, motion carried. This time, there's no resolutions or ordinances. Next, we'll move to commissioners' reports. Joe Tippman.
Let's see. I spoke with one of the guys from Midland, Kurt. He's a great guy. We had a nice little chat. He's in La Crosse, and I was talking to him to ask their help to repair or resurface the road there next to the post office. And they're under no obligation to help us. I'm only asking for their help. A lot of smaller communities around western Kansas that have similar organizations in their town do the same thing, and those some of those co-ops are gracious and generous enough to help the city out and repair the roads and kind of help with the roads that they use, because they know their trucks wear them down pretty good. Some don't. He asked what sort of money we were talking about. I told him that we were looking into repairing some of the other roads in McCracken. That one's pretty bad, and it's a short stretch, and maybe I don't know how anybody else feels about doing that one first, but that might be a good place to start. Anyway, I told him I didn't know, so if we get a quote on that road, I'll let him know how much it would cost to either repair that or resurface it. And then it would be up to them to decide how much they would gift us to help make that happen. So I think you said you had a guy that was gonna.
I just asked Nicole. He sent us an estimate on the roads. I know was it to Chat and Seal, or Chip and Seal?
Yeah, it was a lot.
It was a lot.
I think it was 65.
65,000 for one of them.
Here.
Blows our whole
Here.
budget. 65,000 to patch, crack and seal, crack fill and seal coat. 135 to retar and chip, and $250K to repave the whole thing with new asphalt. That was for the road just for Main Street.
Yeah, that's a little spendy. So the next thing is to prioritize the problem areas on our streets and start using the materials that we get from the county and get as much of it as we can get and start using it on those tough spots. I don't know about the rest of you, but I drive down that road. I get my mail, and a lot of times I'll head into town, and I go right down that road, or I'll pay my water bill and then head out of town. And it's a pain in the butt, all those big potholes there. I know there's some other big potholes that need fixed, but we do get material from the county. We just need to get out there and start using it. The other thing is, someone in Wakini told me that they just received a KDOT grant to repair some roads that are worn down by the trucks that go through their town. So maybe we should explore any grants available for our roads.
Nicole and I got a survey. Nicole, did you get that too? Did I send it to you? I'm not sure how that went, but we got a KDOT survey, and it was for a 15% cost matching.
A matching.
The matching.
15 and 20, like there's 3 different.
Yeah, but the one said that the email that I got just recently, it said that we would get 15 instead of the 20.
Yeah.
So, but it was for a implementation for traffic action plan, right? So,
It was for the infrastructure,
yeah. So we have looked into that, and we already filled out the survey, and there is a July 29th, I believe, that whole data sheet needs to be turned in, and that's, we're already looking into that, so.
So that'll give them some idea as to what we actually need.
Yeah,
What-
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. First, we thought it was just a county level, but then we were looking at it, and it says county, and then it shows the actual cities. Now, they're larger cities, but it says on there that they're encouraging the smaller towns to apply, so we did.
Okay, awesome. I have been finding it difficult to make time to get out there and work on the streets. I was gonna run the street sweeper. Haven't yet. Don't know when I will. I'm hoping that our superintendent gets to it at some point, or we come up with a schedule of doing that. So either he or I or someone else could get out there and do it. But I think we should start doing it. As far as patching potholes goes, I'm gonna have a tough time doing that too.
Last
I'm
time
not-
we did, which I don't think they have any right now, but the last time they did that, they used the kids that needed service hours.
And that'd be great if we could get them.
But I know they don't have any right now, and the only reason I know that is because the radio told me they didn't have any kids. They had
Yeah.
already checked in, but there's times that they do, so we could kind of keep a check on that.
Yeah, I don't know how that works, or can you keep an ear on that?
Yeah, all we do is call over to Tony's office, Tony Bruce, and tell him that we're looking for kids and have such and such a day. Or we can ask him if he will let us know when they have some kids, and then we can set up a date. But yeah, that's
Okay.
how that works.
I'm thinking maybe we should pick a day and do some street work and get some volunteers if we can. I'm not supposed to be lifting anything over 10 pounds, which I do on a regular basis, but I pay for it every time. So I don't want to be lifting any 80-pound bags of asphalt if I can help it. But I will operate equipment, which also is not good for me. There's no shock absorbers on those things, and it bounces me around. Last meeting, I was in agony because I mowed my lawn on my riding mower. So I have to take it easy. And I know we're working commissioners, but I'm kind of busted. So I'd like to work with a little bit closer with the superintendent to try and schedule some road work. and I'll do everything I can, and probably more than I should, so. I think that's about all I got.
Are we able to comment?
Not at this time.
Oh, I did want to say one more thing.
Yep.
Excuse me, Mayor. This is your commissioners' meeting. It's not necessarily your meeting, although it is your meeting, but the mayor's in charge. What he says goes. We need to start respecting our mayor and his way and style of carrying on these meetings. If anybody ever gets out of control, like the last guy, and startles me and startles everybody, or he asks somebody to be removed, we won't have to wait for the police to remove them, because I'll do it myself. I will not put up with, none of you should put up with behavior that's out of control like that. If we're ever going to get along and come together, we're going to have to respect each other, and we're going to have to respect the organization that we have here. That's all.
Okay, if there's no further on Joe's report, next we'll have Norma.
Okay, I was asked if we could, if organizations could use the city building like for meetings. And to my knowledge, without pay, if they're just coming in for a few hours and having a meeting or something like that. I mean, I see nothing personally, I didn't see anything wrong with doing that because it is our city building and that's kind of what we do. But who had asked me was the rodeo, there was wanting to do tickets, which we do tickets every year. And it would be a little easier to have a little more room because last time we was pretty crowded when we was all around a table there at the library, which we tried to utilize the library. But they was just wondering if like they could come in and it would be 2 or 3 hours, you know, no more than probably 3 hours at the max, but just come in and like do tickets or have a meeting or something in that category, not anything that they're taking any other time or out of it, you know. But what do you guys think on that?
I mean,
Well, why wouldn't you not want to make some money for the city? Because the
Right now,
rodeo
there's
does
no
not do
comments from the
anything
floor.
for the city.
there's no comments from the floor. This is Norma's report. In reference to that, I would say we've never charged any nonprofit organizations, including the rodeo, to use this building. Why would we start now?
Right.
That would be my
Right.
interjection.
Well, and I know, like that, it really does, I mean, it is kind of easier to stretch out when we're doing those and getting, put them together. But, again, I mean, they don't have to use this, it's not a have to, it just was just a thought, would it be, okay to do something like that, or whatever, and I'm like you, I mean, we've never charged for.
Community building, it's not a city building.
Right. So, I mean, that's kind of how I answered her myself personally. I see nothing wrong, but I would bring it to you guys and get your input on it, and then I'd get back with them.
Jeff?
I would maybe charge $5 because it has to be scheduled. Somebody has to keep a schedule of it. Nicole, probably, she's the catch-all. And it's her fault. So, and then somebody has to come and unlock it and then lock it when they're done.
Well, 9 times out of 10, I usually lock it or unlock it because I'm right there and I can see.
Well,
But at the same token,
your time's worth something, and
Right.
$5 is a nominal fee.
Yeah, and I come over, I always do the tickets too. I mean, I deal with them, but that's.
And like I said, somebody's got to keep track of that schedule. I don't think any large city does anything for free, and I don't think any medium-sized city does anything for free. And now, I don't think smaller cities do much for free. I don't think we should do anything for free. It takes somebody's time, and every $5 helps. So that's my input, for what it's worth.
And the other part was on the burn pit. Like I said, we got it all cleaned up, but I was also called and asked if they could dump some concrete out there, and I told them no more of dumping of anything. So I just took that on, and because once we got everything cleaned up, that was really, it is a state situation. It's not kind of a dump for whatever, so I told them no, that we wasn't adding any more concrete or anything like that out there. So I'm at wrong for that, I apologize, but I just looked at it, that was what, that's the rule, so.
Does
we
it,
should
does it burn?
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of what I used too. I says, we can only do trees, shrubs, grass, that type of thing that is burnable. So I said, that's kind of where we're at. We're got it cleaned up, and we're not gonna go back to any of that. So that's where I was with that. Also, I do have a question on building permits. And I did ask Nicole, so I don't know, did you follow anything with VAP on that? Because we do have some structures that are a house that's being built, but no permits have been for it, so it doesn't go then. If permits aren't done correctly, and the only reason permits are, and ours are so darn cheap, I can't imagine nobody ever not getting one. $5, I mean, that's really not a big deal.
I have them available online now to fill them out and pay for everything online.
And I did look that up the other day, so it's on our website to fill out. The other reason I'm saying this is strictly because building permits get it on the tax roll, so that then when y'all think about how do we, without increasing things, how does things get there is through our building permits that then puts it on the tax roll, so it's taxed accordingly. And so I really think that does need to be looked into a little bit further on those two. Yeah, and what is our options when somebody doesn't? I don't know if you just go up and say, hey, you didn't do this. I wasn't real sure how to handle that myself.
Is it code compliance?
It's actually
It's county.
the zoning commission. We're supposed to have a representative here, and it's John Zeller, but I don't know that he's actively doing that anymore. But that's who would take care of that. So I don't know if they've redone that as far as who's the representative for McCracken.
Let's ask the county if
Because
it still
that's
is.
kind of what I know Nicole and I kind of talked about that, and it's under county situation, so I think we do need to.
Yeah, I haven't talked to John Zeller and asked him if he still goes to their meetings, but Jeff Batt told me he did still attend their meetings, so.
So that would be our go-to person. The other thing is, and this is just, the UPS guy stopped today to be sure that I knew that he dropped some packages off here. I seen that you was here before I got over here. But he also told me that if we would like to do this, they do this for other organizations, other businesses. If we would like to give them a key to the building, he could unlock the door, slide the stuff in, lock the door back up and go. He says, we don't disturb anything, we don't bother anything, we just open up, slam them in, and shut it. He says, my biggest thing was because if it rains.
It was paper.
And he said, I think that was paper. And I says, I get you. And we kind of laughed about it. And I says, well, you know what? We're having a meeting tonight, so I'll just bring that up. And he said, I do that for several places. So he says, it's not like a big deal. But he says, I just wanted you to know, in case, he says, because I didn't see Nicole's car. So he says, and sometimes I set it in her car if I see it. And he says, and I usually come by your house because I know you're attached to it. So But, and I really do appreciate it, and I got off and I kinda had to laugh, and I thought, that is what small town is all about.
Put in the parcel locker probably.
Yeah, well, and see, just like the library, he has the code, and he puts it in the library and shuts it, so.
So would you make a motion to make them a key?
Yeah, I do need to have some more cut.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we let the UPS driver have a key so he can put the stuff inside the building.
Do we need a key or do you want a code like they have at the library? Where they have a
Well,
code.
you
In case you
know.
get a new UPS driver, you can change the code. That's why we did it that
I
way.
know, but they'll just probably pass it on, and they're very reputable
Yeah.
people. I mean, nobody's working for UPS.
You're talking about this door right
Yeah,
here,
just the
right?
front
Yeah, just the
door.
front door.
Is there a key code on it or? a
No,
keypad?
like at the library, we have a box that's on the side of the wall.
Oh, I got
It's
you.
like-
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
actually,
Basically,
it's
the
actually
key's in
there
it.
for, the real reason for that being there was because like when they had the book club and that, we had a key that was always in there so that it was easy to access. We gave a code, it's all digital, all you have to do is, it lasts like 4 hours. So whoever doesn't put the key back, obviously knows who has the key. But the reason they did that is because the book club, but then also it was really good for emergency services because if that library starts on fire, the fire chief has a code and all they have to do is put the code in, grab the key and open the door and they always have a key access. So that was the only way we could control the key without having to make more keys and do key control.
And would you want that on the city building?
And I don't, no, it's just a little box. This,
But we gotta have something to attach it to, too. We have a.
I would just
building.
make them a key. Because somebody could knock it off with a hammer and take the key, get in here and vandalize the place.
Yeah, keep it simple.
yeah, the key's fine.
Yeah.
I seconded it, so I'm fine.
I'll second. Okay. All right, so.
I was just asking.
Okay,
No,
you wanna
good
finish
point.
that out?
Okay, so moved and seconded to get the UPS driver a key to the city building. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same side, motion carried.
Okay, and the other thing is, and this is kind of a request to Nicole and to us to be compliant for her, and I know that possibly our meetings will change later, after the charter's through, but I really think that we should have anything that we want on the agenda done by Thursday at 5 o'clock, and if she would send us a copy, I really kind of like to know this stuff before I get here. And I don't. So if we could know it by Saturday night at 5 o'clock, if we could have her stuff, and we can't change it after that, I mean, I'm set. We have it into her by Thursday at 5 o'clock, then she can have it just emailed to us by Saturday at 5 o'clock. And it just gives us, just like the fire hydrant thing, if that was on the agenda, then we could do a little research and be a little more ready
Well, but
for
you-
it.
That's fine with
It
me.
would be really helpful.
Yes, I think it would be very helpful on both of our sides, you know. So that is my request there, that we as a commission, that we comply with her that way, and then she can kind of work with us too. Because that does help us if we do need to look some stuff up or have some material ready. We personally then can have that too.
So if that was put in there by Thursday, can it be up on the website on that following Friday? So that way the public is able to access on front desk if they want to print out the commissioner's packet or any of that at their own expense?
Well, I would say if our deadline is 5 o'clock, that her Saturday, she could put it on there. If she wanted to go ahead and put that all on and be done with it, then it would be done. I would just say it was all done by Saturday at 5
Well, and
o'clock.
they won't be weekly anymore. This is the last
No,
one.
yeah, and,
So-
but even though we possibly will change this or wherever we go, whether it's 2, 1, whatever.
Yeah, it would be really helpful if I could have everything, like, and have a deadline where there couldn't be anything else added.
Then you wouldn't be
So I
working
wouldn't be
on your
doing it the same
weekends.
day.
Yes, and we'll just, and if something does come up and pop up, that's what special meetings are for, that's what, we can always put it on, if it's not an emergency, we can put it on the next agenda, so. And just like this, I've been just writing notes at home, so, because I don't always remember it then when I'm here, and so I was just writing myself little notes so that I would remember to bring that up. But that was one of them. I think we would help on both sides. I think it'd be a help for both of us. So,
Agreed.
and that's all I have.
Make a motion?
I mean, I don't think so.
Okay. Okay. Next I'll have my mayor's report if Norma's finished.
I'm done.
Okay. So I touched about the road grant already that you looked into. I wanted to say that also on the county part of it, Nicole had told me about the county, we could actually pay them their hourly to come out and help us with some of the road work. So we could look into that and maybe see if that's an option to get things done for the roads.
It might be cheaper than having a contractor do it.
Yeah, yeah. We saw that $65,000 bill and we were like, oh, okay, well maybe the county could help us out.
Yeah,
I think that's a very good
Cheaper
idea.
rate.
yeah, whatever they'll do for us, that'd be awesome.
The other thing is, I had a chance to talk with, over Memorial Day, with Brianna North about the pool. She told me that we needed to see if there was a way that we could maybe co-collaborate with the city of Ransom and their school. They have a K's organization over there. And the way that they got that grant over at Ellis, she actually wrote it for her junior year, I think she told me, was a K's grant, but it was through Blue Cross and Blue Shield. And it was to help fund anything that had to do with exercise and public fitness and health. So she said that they do this grant quite a bit, and that would be the nearest K's organization that she knew was Ransom. And whereas they have bus people over here for the pool, maybe that would be, they'd be willing to co-collaborate with the school to help us get a student that can help write that's in the K's for the community, since they're going to use our pool. Maybe contribute to it as well, I'm not sure. But I know Nicole and I talked, and she'd said that that's one of the things they want you to do is co-collaborate with other towns to help your infrastructure.
Yeah, if
So-
they see you like cooperating and wanting to join, they are more apt to look at your grant and give you money.
Makes sense.
Because about, I mean, all these little small towns, if we would like come together more and use each other's resources, that they are really looking at that right now.
Yeah, I suppose two little towns have more credibility than
Right.
one little town.
So maybe
And if they see,
three
like, the new
cities
towns would want to contribute the money, you know.
So, might,
Yeah.
and even maybe Mass City, because they don't currently have a pool, so maybe that would be an option. The other thing is, I want to reiterate, we had a fire today, apparently, in Miss Eliza's dog pens. I would just ask that anybody that has a fire, that it's called into the sheriff so that they can go ahead and take care of it. And even if it is called into the sheriff, I just want to make sure that it is attended to and not left. I was told that it was not attended when Nicole came upon it and Jackie came upon it. So I just wanted to reiterate that anybody that is burning anything, that they go through proper channels to do so.
We told her there's no fire ban,
That's good.
that she can burn.
That's good.
And that is true, when we don't have a fire, but we're still supposed to call the sheriff's office and let them
Well,
know.
and the sheriff's office,
They always
when you
told us.
contact
What, she
lacrosse,
told her no.
when you contact lacrosse to do a fire, it depends on what fire you're burning also. Because I myself have called and said, hey, I'm gonna have a covered fire pit. And they said, you don't have to call that in all the time, and they check the wind for you though first, most of the time. And they'll tell you if it's going more than 15, then you can't have one. But then they started to where now, all of a sudden, if it's a covered fire pit, you don't have to call it in. But if it's something that's burning, like a barrel or trash or something that's controlled, but only by like, you do a brush fire or something like that, then you have to call that in because it's bigger than that controlled fire pit. But I think during the summer, they're getting all these calls, they have a fire pit, they have a fire pit.
Right.
And then I believe also in the
Makes
city of
sense.
LaCrosse, I don't think you can even have a covered fire pit. I think it's an ordinance. So that's something that these other little towns having to call it in. So I think that
That
would
makes
be,
sense.
I just think it'd be helpful because then like when Nicole went to check the pool and saw smoke, everybody's freaking out and you don't know what's
If
going on.
I wouldn't have pulled up
So-
on it, it would have been, there would have been burn down. For sure. And I know that workforce there told her that she should have called it in, that she needed to call it in, because he told me.
That isn't what you told her.
And
Are
so,
you
Probably
sure?
good.
you know,
Probably
I
just
think she
good
might have
practice.
misunderstood, because I stayed there.
the only-
So I was at the
you know,
pool.
It was.
It doesn't matter
she
whether
agreed.
it's Jeannie or anybody, I just
was
wanna
her
make
fault.
sure that
It
we're
was
just following the
crazy. It was
regulations.
scary.
I said, what possessed you to do that?
I just wanna make sure that something doesn't occur that doesn't need to. so.
Right.
It's just a reminder.
And safety first.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I
It's
said.
safety first. I mean,
Yeah.
that's all it is. It's good that we are a small town and are able to do these things, you know?
Exactly.
So, also, I wanted to thank everybody that participated in the memorial services and everything that was done over Memorial Day and out of the cemetery. And I hope everybody got a nice chance to look at the cemetery. It looked great, I thought. The services were beautiful. Everybody did a nice job, and I'd just like to thank everybody. And Arlene, you led the music, I believe? Along with Sally Jacobs was out there with taps.
Martin asked me, and I said the first time I participated, I was in the 5th grade. And we used to march the band from the entrance down and up and do a formation, sometimes with our back to the east, facing the flagpole. And our English teacher used to have the Flanders Field and the answer memorized by students. And of course, Harry Yonke always memorized this Gettysburg Address. But the only time I missed, I got to thinking, was when I was in college. And my first year back as the band director here, Harry called me in March. He said, "What have you got planned here for Memorial Day?" I said, "That's about 3 months away." But it's something that's very dear to my heart.
We appreciate all you do. Thank you.
Well, it's not a job, I'll tell you. It's a pleasure.
That's good.
And I was thrilled that a couple of high school students joined us this year. And I told them Mrs. Jacobs needs to give them extra credit.
I think that's fair.
I also appreciated having the male voices. That was exciting. And well, kudos to everybody. And there again, that's something that really brings everybody together for Memorial Day.
Yes. It was very, very nice. Also, I would like to thank Nicole for getting the community building ready for everybody that has rented the building. And hopefully everything's paid up and good to go, so.
Now it is.
Oh, okay. So, I just appreciate, I know it takes a lot of work to get all that done, moving tables and doing that and hauling all of our equipment in here and then taking everything out, so I appreciate that. Other than that, like I said, I'll look into fire hydrant stuff a little more myself. And the pool update, we can touch on that here a little bit. Next, we'll just have the report from Nicole.
I don't have anything right now. I mean, what I do have is just about the pool and the rodeo, and that was on old business.
You know, I searched online for ways to repair the pool months ago, and I found a product that's I believe it's a urethane. It's a 2-part mix. It also has a thickener, so you can paint it on that thick if you want, or you can make it a little bit thicker and fill gaps and holes and cracks and stuff. And I have not been able to find it again.
I did a lot of research, and we went down there and we took that cover out of got that all out. It was a nightmare. And there was water left in the deep end, from the rain and everything. And so we marked around where the water was to see, and that was about a day and a half ago, and it went down a foot.
It did.
So there's definitely something there. But I've also been researching, and they said that around the top, like where the water line is, that we should put tile there, like pool tile, because there's a crack, and it runs all the way around where the pool line, where the water line is. They said that if we could, we should tile the whole thing, but that's not feasible. I mean, that would be really expensive. And they said that you need to put about a foot and a half of tile around the top, and then re-plaster it all. And I'm not sure how much that would cost, but they said that painting it, like just putting a paint on it, is not going. They said that they don't recommend that at all. That if we re-plaster it, and they have all different kinds of colors plaster now, that you wouldn't even have to paint it after that. And I think that's what's going to have to,
Well, we gotta do something about that crack.
Yeah, because I mean, I thought maybe it was evaporation, but there's no way in a day and a half a foot of water would evaporate that quick.
No, it's leaking.
But you know, yeah, it's got to be a leak somewhere.
I thought you were running a camera.
Did we-
Well, oh, there's like a foot of muck in the bottom right now.
Can you blow it out?
And see, that's another thing. I think the
We
only
have to
reason that
dig it
it's
out.
not
We can-
drained anymore is because of all of the stuff
So-
covering the drain right now.
We can vacuum that out with a.
With a shop vac can take it like just
Yeah,
out
it's
to
a
waste,
nasty
you know.
job, but that'd be the way to do it.
Yeah, because
You
we.
stick your shop vac
It was
right in the
really,
drain and suck
right,
the
it was
drain
really
out.
clean when I first got there, but then I realized because it was all bunched up in that cover, that's where all the
Yeah.
dirtiness was. So we took it out and then we spread it on the grass right to the south so it could dry out. Well, then it rained and so it's wetter than it was before now. And that's what I was down there doing. I was gonna try to roll it up, but then I noticed that there's like puddles all over it. And so Shane said he would take care of it today. When he got home, like 4 o'clock, he got home pretty early, so he said he would take care of it because I don't even think I could do it by myself, even if it was dry, because it's
No,
really a
those
big
are expensive,
job.
heavy.
Um,
But I think that we could actually store it in the pump room though, because that's another thing I was afraid of, was like, where are we gonna store this tarp now?
Can we get one of them vacuum bags? Would it fit in one that you can vacuum the air out?
I don't know, when it came, it was in a box
It was in
and.
a box, yeah, I was gonna say, just
Yeah, because you had to help me get into my car, I couldn't even lift, it was the heaviest thing ever.
yeah, they're
So,
funky.
yeah, I don't know if one of those bags would be big enough, I'm not sure, but I just figured we could just tie it shut, you know, to just hold it as good as we could and then just put like a strap around it or whatever and put it in that pump room. And then when I opened that door, there was a huge snake in there. And so that,
Usually.
the fire department was right there, so they could come get the snake out. And so, yeah, they came and got the snake out for me. And that was all before noon.
Oh, that's sweet.
It's a rough morning.
So we should maybe look into having that tile work done.
Yeah, that's what, I mean, they said that that would be ideal, is to tile the whole
Why
thing,
would
but
they tile the top though if the leak is in the bottom?
because of the crack that's already
The
there.
crack is at the top. What about
Yeah.
the crack at
The
the
crack
bottom?
Oh,
Then
no.
address the crack at
The
the
crack's
bottom.
probably
It will, though, the
leaking, too.
plaster will. The
Yeah,
plaster will address the
drain
crack at the
probably.
bottom.
I'm sure that crack's leaking too. I mean,
Oh,
it's
I
leaking
guarantee
somewhere.
it, yeah. They said that's the way to fix it, they said the way to fix it would be to tile. They said that the last thing that they recommend is to paint it. Even if that is a last resort, you shouldn't still do it then, because it's just, it's worse than a Band-Aid, you know? It's like, it's just going to make it get worse, you know, if you repair it properly. So my suggestion is that we repair it 2023 pool season, we don't open and we repair it. Because I don't think that we've been letting things set properly, like after we've been, what's the word I'm looking for? Cured, thank you. I don't think that they've been cured long enough to, like between the steps and before there's been water put in it. And I think if we could do that properly, that it would last years.
Yeah, they was told that last time.
So we need to camera the drain
Right. We need to find out.
and see about.
About the plumbing.
See about getting that repaired.
But I think if we have all year, all summer, all the whole season to do it, because we can't do it during the winters, because it seems like
Right.
once the pool season's over, then it's cold again.
Yeah.
So we'd have all season to actually repair it correctly. We can have fundraisers during that time.
Right. And we need to probably go through the pump room and make sure our filters and pumps are good and that
Okay,
that's all plumbed correctly.
We know our pump better be good.
I know we have a new pump.
Yeah.
Well, they did
They
the
treated the
seals
sand.
and everything
Yeah,
on
just
them
replace
this last
Okay,
year.
so that's
Yeah,
good.
that-
So
that
we
really
need
was-
a quote for that
Systems
tile
good.
work and a quote to,
The replastering, yeah. I mean, I've
quote to repair
done a lot
the
of
drain,
research.
depending on whatever CN finds when they can with it.
Right. But I did find, yeah, I did
Take
the
it
whole
from
water,
there.
so there was already motion to have CN drain, look at it
Mm-hmm.
if it was still, and I think that a foot of water is just too much. It couldn't have been evaporation.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Not with the.
But yeah, you guys can, anybody can go down and look, they can see my mark on there with how it's gone down from that.
Awesome, thank you, Nicole.
Okay, that's your
That's my
report.
report.
Okay. Amanda Kendall.
I don't have anything.
Okay. Old business rodeo permit follow-up.
I contacted Pretty Prairie about their rodeo, and all that their rodeo does is all the proceeds, go to scholarships for high school seniors. Then there's senior, like it's called Pretty Prairie Sunset Home. It's like, I think it might be an old folks home that they go to that, the 4-H, and the Scouts. All their, like, every bit of money that they make goes back into the community that way. And their population's a little over 600, and then like Phillipsburg, their rodeo is, they have like 15,000 spectators at their rodeo, so that's not even comparable. I mean, they did say that all their profits go back into the community, but I just didn't think that could be compared to us because it's such a larger rodeo. But Pretty Prairie was the one that was closest to our size, and that's what they do. There's no, like, it's just kind of an agreement, between them. That there's nothing on paper between the rodeo and the city, but that's what they do. They put all their money into scholarships and put it back into the community that way.
I
Permit
think
fees?
Pretty Prairie's
They don't do permit fees.
I don't think
Oh,
they're
so
a
the-
sanctioned rodeo. I think they're
Yeah,
more like
they
a
are.
high school. Are they a
Mhm.
sanctioned rodeo?
Yep.
Because I was thinking they was more like a high school rodeo.
There's a KPR or whatever that is, KP. Mhm.
KPRA.
Okay.
And
I
that's
really
put
didn't
on by the city?
No, it's put on by the
Rodeo
the
Association.
rodeo
Rodeo
association.
Okay.
But that's what they do. There isn't really anything between the city and them, though.
So basically what you're stating is that the rodeo is basically doing the same thing, or has been doing the same thing for several years by donating to the different organizations that they see fit within the community, just like when they would donate the $1,000 by Diz Washliski for the McCracken Mustangs Relay for Life team, and then the other $500 sponsorship was from the rodeo. And then after Diz passed away, they changed it to where they were donating more of that money for the Relay for Life, and I believe they still currently do that. And so that would be going back to our community that way, because the Relay for Life actually is obviously a national organization, but a lot of that money stays in Rush County to help people with gas or do other things. So that's a county community event. So we don't have the Scouts. We had the 4-H that the rodeos helped out before. So we don't really have those organizations to put aside, like the Scouts and the other ones you're saying, the scholarships. Scholarships would be different, but it would be through lacrosse, obviously, be the closest one. But, so a permit, if they're not doing a permit, I mean, it would be basically up to us whether or not that's something we want to look at. But the rodeo, to me, is just supporting the town just as much as the other one, if they're giving to those organizations.
If they're giving to those organizations, yeah, I would agree with that. I do think we should ask, like, we should start a permit, again, with a nominal fee, just to start that. In the future, we're gonna wanna draw more events to McCracken, and more vendors and so forth, and if everybody has to buy a permit. Like, I was talking about doing a bluegrass festival. It didn't happen, but I would have liked to have bands come in, food trucks, and other vendors come in. And I checked with some other towns, they all require, not all of them, but a lot of them require a vendor's permit to come in and do a thing like that. And I think it maintains a higher quality of vendor, for one thing, but it also gives the city a handle on who's doing what. And then it covers any policing fees, cleanup fees, any traffic ordeals that have to, like blocking off a street or something like that. So I think we should start something like that. And maybe we start with a nominal fee and raise it next year so that it's not like it's loading the gas or anything like that.
Well,
But I think we should start doing that at some point.
do we think that will draw things or take things out? Because
Well, it makes us official. And I don't think it will necessarily draw anything, but if we do want to do things here, I mean, what if I did want to have a large festival here? Wouldn't we want a permit if we were gonna block off a street and have 10 food trucks down there and bands and other vendors selling rubber tomahawks and so forth?
I know how to do
I
Indian
mean, wouldn't we
dances.
wanna make something on that? I mean,
I guess it would also-
and not that we wanna make a big
No,
profit
no,
or
I mean-
anything like that, but wouldn't you wanna have a handle on it?
I'm just thinking that we had that, we had the beautification, they had a fall festival, they made a lot of money. Those statues out there were $8,000 a piece, the city saw nothing, so, but they got it back by beautifying the city, so it didn't necessarily say they didn't see anything. I guess I shouldn't have stated that, I should have said they didn't see any monetary,
Yeah.
compensation about it. And that, at that time, if we'd asked for $100 or $500 from that organization for that,
It'd be $500.
they'd be $500 short for what they were trying to purchase. So I look at it both ways. I mean,
Yeah, I can see your point.
we don't have anything, so I don't want to hurt anything, you know what I
No,
mean?
that's why I'm saying, let's start with a nominal fee.
Yeah.
Maybe you charge
Because
the
they've never
rodeo,
paid anything, have they? I'm just curious.
maybe you charge the rodeo $50.
I
And
mean,
say,
like the
we just want-
beautification, they put the stuff back into the community though.
That's what I'm saying, but we have statues up there is what I'm saying. They had a huge event, but that's what they wanted to purchase was statues.
And they
which
bought
is
your
fine,
chairs on the streets.
Which is fine, and they have the benches, yes, so they're
And the
putting things
trees.
back into it.
Trees.
But what I'm saying, the rodeo also is sponsoring things like the Cancer Society that helps with the people in Rush County, so it's not like they're not helping completely. I'm saying you gotta look at things that are kind of
But what
black
are they
and white
doing
here, what
for
are they
this
doing?
community?
Well,
I
we
just
also
don't-
have to
I just don't
realize
think
that
if
we
we charge
don't-
a minor fee, we have it on paper, we have everything permitted, not just the rodeo. I'm talking about anybody that does
Yeah,
anything here.
yeah.
And we don't need to beat anybody up for a big
No.
fee or anything like that. If we were Topeka, we'd beat the tar out of them, but we're not,
Right.
so. I just think it makes things official. Every $5 we collect is another $5 we have. If somebody puts their name on a piece of paper, they're a little bit more likely to behave and bring a quality product. So that's my input, that's all.
So what does that do for us as far as,
She said that organizations, nonprofits, and churches are exempt.
right, I understand that, but I mean, what does that do for us since actually the only thing we ever have here is really, at this point, is the rodeo and maybe we'll just say one other event ever. I mean, as the city, does that make us then liable for that event because they paid into it?
I think we'd be liable for anything, 'cause it's a permit, they're permitted to be. to
Well,
use
that's
our
what I'm
streets and
asking.
everything.
I don't know what a permit does
No,
for
everybody-
that part of
Like,
it.
it's like a permit, like they're using our water line, they're using our resources. I'm pretty sure that's what that would,
Yeah.
Well, that really
And-
wouldn't
and-
be,
and-
because our resources, whoever's got it, they're gonna pay for that.
So right now,
Well, they're using our streets.
like we
for
had to,
one
they
thing.
want us to have the streets cleaned up and everything before the rodeo, and then it would pay like for that, cause that's cost people's time, and they want the city to do that.
Well,
And-
we should do that anyway, though. That shouldn't, I'm not trying to be hard-nosed about it. I'm just throwing things out because I'm looking at it like, does Ransom, does Utica, the people that are right around our area, do they do that? Would that make a factor that if I was gonna have something, well, then I'll just go over to their town because I don't have to do that. I don't have to mess with that.
They're not gonna leave here, they've been here forever.
Well, not necessarily. I mean, if we're talking about outside sources coming in.
Yeah, we could call Wakini, I know they're a little bit larger community, but they just launched a new event. And it was a smashing success
It
from what I
was.
understand.
I looked it up, they did really well.
And they had a lot of vendors. We might ask if they plan on having a permit, if they don't already.
Or are we talking like,
If
if
somebody-
we did an event, does each vendor have to pay
I think so.
an event fee? Because the
Most
reason,
places do.
What I'm saying
just like
is,
renting
if they're
space.
not pretty much guaranteed they're gonna make a certain amount, they're just not gonna come.
They make.
They all take a risk, you know,
I think
coming
they'd
to an
still
event.
come.
but-
They pay them in other towns. I
As
mean,
far as like, when you're talking about the events and the prices, I know that the beautification, when we were having the, fall festival, we had some people that were signed up to be vendors, and there, I believe at that time there was a deposit, you know, to keep them, so we had a list of how many people we were gonna have, and some of those people dropped off because they didn't have the $40 to put on it. So if we're adding an event fee on top of that for the city, are they gonna be able to have their vendors? That's,
Another thing that it does is, not necessarily in a town this size, but in larger towns, when you put a deposit down by purchasing a vendor's permit, it keeps you from backing out. Because you've invested already $100 in your vendor's permit, you're gonna go get your $100 worth, so you're gonna show up. And that's something that we want, if we're putting on an event, we want our vendors to show up. And not, I wouldn't charge $100 for a permit right now, right here. I would charge $10. That way we have a piece of paper, we have somebody's name on it. If anything ever happens, we can say, yeah, this was Johnny's Tacos. They were here, these people were here, these people were here. Plus it gives you a list if you wanna call them back again, for one thing. I just think it's a good idea, but that's just me. I know a lot of other cities do it. Cities larger than us, but almost all cities are larger than us, so.
yeah, that's our takeaway. And they all have banks and they all have hotels, and we don't have
Yeah.
no bank, so that's,
We got two gas pumps and 2 pop
right,
machines, so.
Exactly.
But it'd be nice to have more.
Yeah, if we did have a lot more businesses, I mean, we would still benefit from anything that came through, but
Yeah,
We-
and
we
so,
don't.
you know, some of the vendors that, you know, if we did have an event, they'd come in and they'd go, so how much is your event permit? And we say $10, they'd be like, I'm in.
You could really
when does
generate.
when does the actual rodeo per se have its next meeting? Does anyone know?
well, they had one Sunday night. I think they have it each week until the
Coming up to the rodeo?
Yeah.
Well, I'm just thinking, where we put it on here, rodeo permit, and we're kind of like sanctioning it as a rodeo permit, maybe it's something
I just
that,
put that on there. I
Oh,
don't
okay.
think necessarily mean that.
well, but that's the biggest event we have, so maybe it's something that we could actually invite someone to come from the rodeo to speak and give, you know, what their thoughts are is, okay, if we're going to do this, is this something you guys are willing to even, you know, keep, because we don't want to lose what we have. So we're just wanting to know from your guys' side, what do you kind of, is it something you, if we put this in place, is it going to be something that,
It's gonna sour anybody.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah, you know,
I'm sure it's going to sour somebody, obviously, but I'm just saying,
If we charge them $50 this year, I don't see how that can hurt anybody. That's nothing, but it puts it on paper and it gives us a place to start. And if we, you know, having somebody from the rodeo attend that kind of discussion, we need their input, and I would invite them to come back and have this discussion again every year and become more partnered with the city in that way. So we know what's on their plate and they know what's on ours. I think just having a dialogue between the rodeo and the city is a good thing. So yeah, let's invite somebody over and get their thoughts on the matter.
can you make a motion?
I think so.
Okay. I'll make a motion to invite a member of the rodeo board to, the board with either a member to speak on behalf of the rodeo board, and any member that wants to come to the meeting, obviously it's a public meeting.
Any and all,
so-
any
yeah,
and
any and all.
For sure.
But one to speak for the board completely.
I would say.
That's one thing we need to reiterate with all the organizations is we have one speaker, and they need to collectively as a board speak with one person, not the whole board. So I'll make that motion.
And I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to have one speaker from the rodeo board and invite any and all board members to attend the next meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same side, motion carried. So I'll make a motion to table this until the next meeting.
When is the next meeting?
Monday. It's our regular meeting, actually.
Oh, because it'll be the second Monday.
But then, yeah, this is the last weekly meeting, but then next Monday we'll have a meeting, but it's just our regular monthly meeting.
Because we can go back under the
I need
ordinance.
to take motions, I'll just do motion to divide and do that. Get rid of. I don't need to take it. Okay. So Nicole gave her pool update, sounds like.
Yep.
Okay. There was a post on the Facebook the Valley had put, and she's sorry for the confusion. She went ahead and had people asking her whether the pool was going to be open, and she'd heard that it wasn't going to open for the 2023 season, so she wasn't sure. And I had her just go ahead and put on there, and I put on there myself before she went back and changed it, that we didn't know the pool wasn't going to be open till further notice, you know. So, that's all I have currently for that. Next, we have new business, hiring an assistant for the superintendent. So, the reason I asked for this to be put on the agenda is because the water and the sewer for Shane, plus his full-time job, are quite a few things. And we at one time did have an application for somebody that was interested in being an assistant to Shane and is still willing to do so. I spoke with Nicole and looked over kind of what we thought as far as whether we could pay him like a salary or versus a hourly. And it would just need to be determined whether or not we could have an assistant. Right now, there's $150 that comes out of the general fund every month that was basically to take care of all the other general maintenance of the city that we're actually paying Shane. Otherwise, it's the water and the sewer, and that takes up the $600 from each account
Fun.
for the fund. If we did hire a superintendent assistant, then we would be able to get some of this stuff done that we were looking to get done, whereas Shane doesn't have the time, unfortunately at this time, and it would take a little bit off of his plate. But the water and the sewer itself is quite a bit. So he's qualified to do that. We don't really have to look for a new person for that because we have one. If we could get him to focus on the water and the sewer more and be able to oversee a person as an assistant, and then still have, because it would be, the board themselves would obviously be the, supervisors of the assistant, but Shane would be more like the direct assistant, or direct supervisor for that assistant. And as Shane answers to Norma, mostly, and then you for streets, obviously, and then me for pool and the cemetery, that would also kind of be something where if we had something we could tell Shane can say, hey, this is what needs to be done, you know, and together they would have help to get that done. I just want thoughts.
And a lot of things are like two-person jobs.
Well, they
Why don't
really
we-
are. I think it would be a really good idea because, and just putting it, so I kind of quickly figured here, so that everybody doesn't get like $150 and he's doing all the mowing and all the little things there, but we're paying year round that 150, so I do want to clarify that. But that's not just 150 like what we, in the past, we just hired mowing people for summer. Which really probably come out, and that's what we figured up when we figured that for him, so that was kind of, was the same thing, only in a lump sum in 3 months versus all year round. And I think really, and Shane's job is just like any others. He's more a seasonal worker too, so he's going to be busier in the summer with his regular job than he is going to be as stringently in the winter time. So I think he probably does really need that help for the summer. I really do. think it would be a good idea.
And what are you saying we pay this help?
I'm sorry.
So would change?
I was
since
looking
he
at,
wasn't paying?
I was looking as far as what we're paying Shane. Right now, out of the general, we're paying $1,800 out of the general a year
Right.
for him to do all city maintenance for the whole year. And that doesn't include the water and the sewer.
So 1,800 out of the general, and then
That's what we're paying for the whole year for him.
that's it?
Yeah, that's it.
That's all he makes?
That's all he's making.
Out of general.
That's what he's.
General.
Yes, because he
General.
makes
And then
600 out of the
600.
sewer and the water between both of those.
So you're saying to pay that 1,800?
1,800, and we expect him to fix the streets, we expect him to mow the cemetery if need be,
No, I mean,
park. That's where
I
you
mean
justify.
the assistant.
The
Oh, the
assistant.
assistant, we haven't said.
No, we would have to agree to make a position. We would also need to hire him, make a position, create a position by ordinance, and then hire by resolution and set a wage.
Would Shane's change since he's not doing?
Well, he'd still be over it, so he'd still be helping. So no, his would not change because he's still gonna be
A supervisor?
a supervisor.
assistant.
Plus, he's, like if that assistant needs help doing a certain thing, it's a two-person job. He's gonna be the second person to
Well,
help.
and it's really hard to change the price. When you hire someone at a wage, it's really hard to change the price of the wage and drop it.
Right, and besides, I figure if he's still having to help out, he's still
Entitled
That's-
to $1,800 a
right
year.
to me. I mean, I would say so.
So is this a job you're gonna put in the paper? Or you already have somebody selected?
We already had
That's what it sounded
We already
like.
had someone apply when this
When
position
this
was
was-
How can they
already
apply
first.
if we didn't even know about it?
This was back when
When we did
first.
do the application, they said that if I was not selected for this job, I was interested if you ever hired an assistant in the future.
But I'd still say put it in the paper.
Okay, I would agree to that, but I also would like to have a monthly report from the superintendent stating what hours were worked and what was worked on during those hours for both him and for his assistant. And either the report given to the clerk or have Shane attend and give the report himself.
Okay.
And then also, maybe during each meeting, we, the three of us, and Nicole, decide on a list for the superintendent, a list of our priorities as far as his additional work above and beyond water and sewer. And then he can let us know at the following meeting how he did on that list and what happened there and where he's going with it, and kind of work with us a little bit.
No comments from the floor, please. Respect, Mr. Richard.
I just want a little bit more information from Shane coming back to us so that we can kind of send information to him and we keep going back and forth like that every meeting. It will help us, if he says, I'm not getting to this because of this, we'll all understand and we won't be going, hey, why didn't this happen?
All right.
I'd like to make a motion that we require that of the superintendent. And then I would agree that he probably does need assistance.
Okay. So with your report, you're talking about, you want an hourly, just the number of hours he's worked?
Yeah, the number of hours he's
Or
worked, and then
maybe
if he
like
gave
this.
us some idea of what he did during those hours. If you just keep a log,
Yeah.
keep a logbook.
Okay.
Or, and then.
Well, it'd also help us to know when you're looking at, down the road, when you're looking at something, or wanting to give raises or whatever, it gives us an idea too, and I do agree with that. That would be a good idea to know kind of, I mean, I know myself, every day I kind of make me a list of what I want to get accomplished for that day. And I might not get all of it, but I get
And then
some
at the end
of
of
it.
the day, your list is bigger?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It grows.
Yeah.
But at least I kind of see what
Well,
I've done and what I still need to do.
we need feedback from the
Yeah.
superintendent.
Right.
And so this would give us that feedback. If, you know, if we see something is taking longer than we thought, then we need to understand why and give
I would agree with that.
him
No, I think
the
it's-
tools and stuff he needs to accomplish the mission and everything, so.
Like not having an air pump or a ladder,
Exactly.
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah, you know, if he says, I'm not getting this done because I don't have a ladder, then we need to get him a ladder. We need to know that he needs a ladder,
Yeah.
for example, yeah.
Well, I think then more communication also with the commissioners too on that part. So if it's something for streets, comes and says, hey, Joe, this is what's going on. We gotta get this done, and this is why it hasn't
Or I
happened,
need
you know?
more patching
And
stuff.
we can kind of,
Or we need to find volunteers, or we
Yeah,
need to get
yeah.
more manpower, or
Yeah.
whatever, yeah.
yeah.
You know, I don't mind spending money, when we need to get results, you know, so, and we do need to get some results, so let's spend the money and get her done. I like getting things done. One time, somebody asked something about me, and the guy said, yeah, that Joe Tipman, he gets things done. And I'm like, well, that was one of the nicest things anybody ever said about me, because I never thought I got that much done, but I do like to get things done. And, you know, if we run into a bottleneck, I'm a good troubleshooter. I'll go in there and figure out why we got a bottleneck there, and we'll get through it and get it done. And with Shane's help, you know, we really need input from Shane. If he's the city and superintendent, he's gonna be kind of a boss. He needs to call the shots. He needs to,
We need to know what he needs.
we need to know what he needs so that he can get things done.
Right.
And I don't mind spending the money and get things done, so.
So what's your
If he
full
need,
motion?
if he needs an assistant, I motion that we create the job and set the pay.
Okay. I'll second that. Been moved and seconded to create a position for an assistant for the superintendent and to set the parameters with monthly reports from Shane and to help him along with being a boss for the said new assistant. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same side, motion carried. Okay. I'll make a motion on that to get with Chris and get the ordinance drawn up as well as the resolution for the hiring of the assistant.
Okay.
Is there a second?
There is a second. I'll second.
Okay, so move and seconded to get Chris to sign, to get the ordinance and the resolution drawn up for Shane's assistance. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same side, motion carried. Okay, next we have is the library's air conditioner. So the library's air conditioner, when I attended the library board meeting, they did hire Nicole as the new librarian, so I'd like to congratulate her. So welcome aboard. That being said, she needs a cool place to work, and the library's AC is broke, and as a tenant landlord agreement, they could stick us with the whole amount, but they've, according to the memorandum that we had already approved, and was gonna go into with the lease, we'll sign the lease instead of the actual memorandum. They asked that they would pay the first $1,000 and we could pay the additional $500.
Well, whatever it's gonna be, I just said that we just probably pay the whole bill and they could reimburse us for the 1,000. So it'd just be one check. Because if they cover the first 1,000, we cover anything over that. Over the 1,000, but the estimate was for 1,500.
That's what I was told.
So it should only be like 500 more, but you never know. You never know how things work out. So I just suggested that we write the whole check for the, whatever the bill is, and then they reimburse us the $1,000, because they're set at $1,000, they don't pay me any more than that.
Who gave us the quote?
Mitch's Plumbing
Mitch's-
gave them the
yeah.
one.
It's a new compressor they need, or is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Compressor.
Because they have the right to maintain the building, like, they have the right to like call people and say, hey, this is what is going on.
And Grumbine
then
put it
come to
in,
us.
so then they called somebody else
So
to
will
do
they keep
this.
us informed as to if that price goes beyond, say, an
Oh, I'm
extra
sure.
$500?
I'm sure they'll stay around the same,
Mitch
because
is
he's already
good.
ordered the part and
So-
everything.
Okay, as long
I'll
as they
say
don't.
Mitch is usually
Yeah.
pretty close to what is, I've never had him ever go over his stuff with me personally, so.
Oh, yeah, and I guess he already ordered the part, he's just waiting for it to come in, so.
Okay, as long as we're not gonna get taken to cleaners or anything, by saying, you know, we already did the work, it's $2,000 more, I don't wanna go that way.
Yeah, I don't think that would be
I don't
an
think
issue.
Mitch will do that to us either, so.
No, the only thing that they have us with is we did approve the memorandum paper. We haven't signed it, but we're also changing that to a lease agreement. So they've agreed, even in the memorandum that was approved, we said that if they pay the first 1,000, we pay the rest existing. So that's why I wouldn't set a $500 price on it in case it is higher, but I don't believe it will be.
Okay.
So I would make a motion to pay the additional over 1,000 for the library's lease.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded to pay the additional 500, over 1,000 for the library's AC. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same side, motion carried. Next, we'll have the fire hydrant painting, which I think we've already touched on that, so, at this time, then, if there's nothing else,
I wanted to ask you if you knew anything more about a code compliance officer. Did you talk to anybody? What was his name?
Chris.
Did you talk to
I
him?
was gonna coordinate with Nicole and ask her when she could email the lady you said in Waukene.
She's not gonna come this far.
She's not gonna come this far?
I talked to her.
Okay, I was kinda waiting on that to see, but if
Okay.
not, I'll go ahead and do it, Chris again.
She didn't say she wouldn't do it, but she did say that she'd have to do some of it via internet. And it's really probably more advantageous to us to have somebody a little closer, so.
Okay, so that's where I'm at on that, okay. Well, then I'll, go ahead and touch base with Chris, see if he can just come to the meeting then.
Okay, awesome.
All right. Okay, if there's nothing else, Norma?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Amanda, Nicole? Okay, if there's nothing else, then I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting at 7:57.